Welcome to the show. We talk about whatever we want, whenever we want, and nobody cares.
Hi there, I'm Joshua, and Eli has his nails done. And this is something. Hey guys, hope you're having a beautiful day. I know we are. It's 70 degrees, there's like 0% humidity, and because we're always cooped up in the studio and editing rooms, we decided to do today's show outside. So, here we are, and Netflix recently just released, this month, released the new season of Sherlock.
Yes.
Now you watched all of the episodes from the new season.
Yeah, I did.
I've only watched the first because I'm catching up on other stuff and I've been busy with other things.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoy Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as
it's definitely
Sherlock.
Different. I really enjoy it. It's not. I like how he's a good mix of the older Sherlocks, played by people like Sir Christopher Lee and stuff, and Robert Downey Jr.'s version where he's like super like intensive. He's not like constant like in these super fast, super thought out fist fights and stuff like that. But at the same time, he's also not, like, well, it seems to me like, he's a good match. I mean, I think he plays Sherlock Holmes incredibly well.
So in light of that, though, coming out, and because we've been talking about it over the weekend while we were doing other things, we were talking about the show. And we're like, hey, you know what? Something we've never talked about on this show before is spies and detectives. And not that they're the same thing, but they often get lumped into the same genre. So we thought we'd talk about spies and detectives today.
Yep. So obviously, straight out, one of the biggest detectives, at least from my childhood, would be, or spies, I'm sorry, I should say spies, would be James Bond.
We watched a lot of James Bond growing up as kids.
A lot of James Bond. I mean, Dad was in love with James Bond, and I'm in love with James Bond. I love the James Bond movies.
Why don't you marry him?
I really like the James Bond movies. I like most of the actors for James Bond.
So who's your favorite Bond?
That's an inappropriate question, Josh. You can't ask that. I like asking what my favorite food is. I have a lot of favorite foods. I would say I always default back to good old Sean Connery. I just love Sean Connery. It's where where it all began for me. I think my first Bond movie probably was Dr. No, because they're like, oh, if you're gonna watch Bond, you gotta watch the first Bond,
Well, and that ranks among my top favorite Bonds.
Really? That movie?
That movie, yeah. As does From Russia with Love, the second of the Sean Connerys, and so Sean Connery is definitely one of my favorite Bonds. And the first time you see Sean Connery, they're playing baccarat, and he lights a cigarette, and Sylvia Trench asks him, she says something like, it seems like your luck's with you today, mister, and he goes, Bond. James Bond. And he's doing it as he's lighting a cigarette, and it's just so cool. I mean, you're like, this guy.
He's wearing a white suit, isn't he?
He's wearing a black suit.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And it's an incredible moment. It's just such a perfect scene. I really like Sean Connery. But, one of my other top 5 favorite Bond movies is The Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton. Mm-hmm. Now, the next movie he does, License to Kill, sucks.
Yeah.
Bad.
I've only seen License to Kill once.
It's the only Bond movie I think I've seen. That and Casino Royale I've only seen once.
Have you seen Spectre yet?
No.
Spectre's new out though. So
I actually have it. It's actually on my. I actually have it on my Amazon Prime, and it's just sitting there.
I saw Spectre in theaters, and it was pretty good in my opinion.
It got panned pretty hard though.
I mean,
So
Some
I mean, I'll have to,
yes.
I'll have to, I'll have to.
I stopped listening to critics a long time ago.
Well, I'll have to, make a decision for myself. I'll have to truck.
Truck.
But anyway, I like Timothy Dalton quite a bit. He's one of my favorite Bonds, and I don't think he got a fair shake because that second movie really hurt him. But I really like Timothy Dalton. He was kind of like that. He was a mix of like the cool of Sean Connery. He had a little of the corniness from Roger Moore, and none of the angst from Daniel Craig. And that has been my problem with the Daniel Craig movies. He's so angsty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's kind of like you watch the TV show Arrow.
Oh, but yeah.
We're 4 seasons or 5 seasons in, and he's just like, I'm so dark. You know, he's like, I'm so tortured all the time. Like, even Batman would be like, good God. He's just like, I'm not even that angsty. I kind of feel that's how Craig is. You know, he's like, I'm so emotionally tortured by my past.
Yeah.
I kill people and it tears me up. And you're like,
I like
oh my
Craig
God.
because it's a more realistic take on James Bond. Slightly more realistic take than, say, you know, like the classic corny Bond with like invisible cars and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
well, yeah, but yeah, there's something to be said about having a little bit camp.
Well, yeah,
And
of course.
you know, campiness to me is an art form unto itself. You know, there's something to be said about having a little camp, and I definitely think by the time they got to Skyfall, they were figuring that out, and there was just a little twist of campiness going. They didn't go there all the way, but it did help because I liked Skyfall quite a bit more than
Casino
Royale.
And
like Quantum Solace, stuff like that. I kind of like that too. But,
really. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said about James Bond, obviously.
yeah, we could do it honestly a subject on itself.
How many James Bond movies are there again? There's
26 or 27, I think.
And it's been going on for like 52 years now, something like that, 53 years. So, I mean, that's incredible. That
62 is the first Bond movie, so it's actually been 55 years.
Has it been 55 years since Skyfall came out? It's been 5 years
Doctor
since
No
Skyfall.
came out in 1962.
Because I know Skyfall was the 50th anniversary, and that's why they made so many references in Skyfall to
Right.
the previous movies. Wow, Skyfall's 5 years old. It doesn't
Yep.
feel like that.
Yep.
I mean, it feels like Spectre just came out yesterday, but it did just come out two years ago.
Something like that,
Last
yeah.
year, 2 years. I can't remember. So,
But we're not talking about just spies. You know, if you're talking about spies, you know, another really great series. I couldn't get into the books as much. I tried to read. Was the Bourne series?
the Bourne series.
And honestly, I only really truly like the first 3 Bourne movies. The one with Jeremy Renner
That's the Bourne Conspiracy.
was okay. It had really good moments. And
It was different.
I've only seen it once. I remember liking it quite a bit, but not. I don't
just
think as
keep
much as I liked
hoping
the
that
Bourne trilogy.
Here's the thing. I think the Bourne trilogy ended with Bourne still being alive and swimming away and all this stuff.
Right.
And sorry for the bloopers. Well, not bloopers, but sorry for the,
Spoilers.
spoilers. I couldn't think of the word. Still kind of waking up. But, they
I think people pushed Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass so hard to make a 4th Bourne that they did, and
that's
they
the
ended
thing.
up being just sloppy
like,
with it.
Bourne didn't need to have another movie. Is that a shaved corgi? Wait for it to come around the corner. Or is it just really light colored?
I can't. I think it might just be really weird colored.
Is it a shaved corgi? Sorry guys, you can't see this corgi, but I think he
It's
looks
messed
shaved.
up.
It's messed up. It's a messed up corgi. As I was saying,
That's why we can't do this show
so
outside.
we can't do the show outside. Squirrel. But I think they well rounded off. You got to imagine in your mind what happened with
Right, it
next.
left it. You know that Bourne's gonna be fine, you know.
Yeah, you know he's gonna be fine. Now, the whole ring has fallen, and all of this. The only thing they could have done more, which they did do, was say, "Oh, but there's more to it than that."
Right. Right.
And they just didn't need to do that.
Yeah. I remember trying to read the first book, the Bourne Identity book, and I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll something I need to come back to.
Some books I've had a dry spell in reading. Oh, there's bee. I've had a little bit of a dry spell in reading, and it's just because I keep picking up books, and the books that I choose to pick up are really dry at the beginning. And a lot of books end up being really dry at the beginning, and they get better as time goes by.
It's hard to get that initial hook.
Yeah, and I really need to get back into reading. And it's just been something I've been putting off, is actually trying to really get back into reading. So my favorite book of all time is The Last Babylon by Pat Frank. And that book, the first 2 chapters are so dry. I've tried to get like 4 different people to read it, and every single one put it down and said, I can't finish this because it's so dry.
You know, speaking of reading, and because we're talking about detectives, and I do actually enjoy good detective stories. And that partly comes from, I don't know if they still have it at the high school. When I was in high school, they had something called Gothic Literature. My best friend Jerry and I took it together. And we took Gothic Lit. And part of that was, you know, like the traditional ghost stories and things like that, but part of that was detective stories, mysteries.
Yeah.
And so we read a lot of mysteries. So I ended up really loving a lot of the mysteries we were reading in Gothic Lit. And so now I do like to sit down with a good mystery. I like a lot of Agatha Christie. I like a lot of Ellery Queen, Sherlock Holmes. I like some Poirot. I like Murs and the Rue Morgue by Edgar Allan Poe.
I was gonna say Poe earlier.
Yeah, Poe wrote what is traditionally considered the first true detective novel, where you follow the detective as he solves the mystery, and at the end, all the suspects are gathered, and he points out the so
person. The actual.
But I do enjoy reading good mystery. And actually, probably.
See, I never got into like good mysteries. I never got into reading mysteries. I like to. And I don't think it's. I'm very visual when I read. Like I picture everything in my head, which isn't a problem. I think a lot of people do that. You have an idea in your head of what characters are supposed to look like. You have an idea of, of who's who and what's what. And sometimes when they make the movie, they get it right too.
Right.
But point being, is like with mysteries, I don't like to read mysteries. It just I don't know. With a mystery, I like watching mysteries. I like watching mysteries fall together at the end of a movie or show. In Sherlock Holmes, his are always great, especially in the Benedict Cumberbatch versions. But watching these things come together, yeah, that's good to me. I can't get myself to indulge in a. I don't know why. I just can't. I have trouble with that.
Well, I gotta be honest. I've said before, I have a hard time picking my top 5 favorite books. But one of my top 5 favorite novels of all time is actually a graphic novel. And you've heard me mention it before. We actually
probably 12 times the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, just because of outstanding circumstances, I've happened to mention it a couple times for different reasons. But The Long Halloween by Tim Sale's the artist, by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
It's a Batman graphic novel.
It's a Batman graphic novel. It is one of my favorites, and it's because at its core, it is a mystery story. There is a mystery. Which I think a lot of interpretation of Batman get wrong about being a detective. He is a detective first and foremost.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective. And
his comics are called Detective Comics. He was released in Detective Comics in 1941, I think.
Yeah. The thing about it is that so many people in modern media and society, what people want, they want to see Batman beating the crap out of bad guys.
But he's a detective first and foremost, and at the core of the story is a mystery. There's a mystery. Who is Holiday?
Yeah.
The serial killer Holiday. Who is he? And Batman goes through this whole lineup of trying to figure out who it is. There's over the course of a year. It takes place over the course of a year. There's also there's a follow-up story, graphic novel that I actually also own called Dark Victory, and it too, at its core, is a mystery, and that's the Batman I like and love. There's a Batman that's solving crimes and solving detective stuff. I want the action too. He's doing the detective work, and I like that. Another graphic novel I like quite a bit is Justice League. identity crisis, where the elongated man's wife is murdered, and that too is a mystery. Who is the murderer? And you get the whole league in on it. And it prominently features Batman and the Green Arrow doing the case, where they're doing the.
Well, because they were both kind of.
A lot of the story is told from the point of Green Arrow, but there's a lot of stories told through the eyes of Green Arrow. But you kind of follow the twists and turns of this mystery. So it's not just books, but even graphic novels. I really enjoy a good mystery. I enjoy following the track of a mystery in a detective story, and liking that twist in at the end. That you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming, or I did. And
that's why I like visualizing. I like seeing it. That's why when it comes to detectives and spies, I really like watching. When it comes to mysteries, I mean, I like watching movies and like that because I can, I see the characters like, oh, he made a facial expression that in the book might not have been mentioned. You have to have a really good writer.
I will say this before we call it. One thing I really hate in a detective story is when they cheat.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh, this person did it, but that person was never involved in the story, or when they give an impossible solution to the. I'm like, that's cheating. You cheated. I like when the bad guy, whether it's a thief or a killer or whatever, is in the story, is involved, and you get the twist at the end. You're like, I didn't catch that. Where you might have been able to catch it by yourself if you had been fast enough. I like that. I hate when they don't even give you an opportunity to be the person that solves the crime.
Out of curiosity, I can't remember the order. Which Sherlock Holmes episode is the first one of the new season? Is that the one with the busts?
Yes.
Okay. So...
Which is loosely based on one of the actual Sherlock Holmes books.
So, but like what I'm saying, like you have... That's kind of, the whole time it's right in front of you because it already happened in a previous... It's related to a previous season. That just came out on Netflix, so I don't want to say what happens, but it's related to a previous season, I'll say that. It's right in front of you, like, oh.
I just like when I can try to be the detective, and maybe I can solve it before the end of the episode or before the end of the book.
Yeah.
I hate when you get to the end of the book and they're like, oh, it was a secret twin sister that nobody knew about. You're like, that's cheating. That's cheating. You don't get to play that.
You went the whole way pointlessly because there was no need to.
Right. You now drop a piece of evidence that was never given to me. You never gave me that information.
It was never part of the puzzle, so...
It was never part of the puzzle, so I didn't get an opportunity to try and solve it.
It's like having a Rubik's Cube and you can't solve it, and you take off the stickers and you put it
It's exactly what it is.
Which also, if you didn't know, if you change even one sticker on a Rubik's Cube, it becomes completely unsolvable.
Huh. Did not know that.
If you change even one sticker on a Rubik's Cube, it becomes completely unsolvable.
Well,
because
the
there's
more
algorithms
you know.
Everything. But if you think about it, that is kind of like one of those novels or one of those movies, those mysteries where they're like, oh, by the way, it was actually this, which was never presented before. It becomes impossible. It becomes impossible for you to solve prior to because you don't know. It becomes impossible to solve a Rubik's Cube if you change a piece of the puzzle. Right. Or it's like you lose a piece of the puzzles to an actual puzzle with puzzle pieces. And you fabricate one,
right?
To fit the empty hole. I'm just going to cut one out of a piece of paper and put it in there, and it'll look like it at least.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's cheating. Yeah, if you do that.
We went a little over on time in this section, but we'll be right back after these messages. That mint hits immediately. It's like putting on a piece of spearmint gum, rather than say like.
So you guys didn't get to see it, but
it's back there now.
It's back there now. There's one messed up looking corgi that's been like circumventing the block. It has somebody walking.
Yeah, it's not just some random messed up looking corgi walking around, circling the house.
But it did get us thinking about. Wild animal encounters.
Wild corgi encounters.
Wild corgi encounters. So, do you have any good stories? Do you have any like wild animal encounter? Like a time you were in...
I've had a lot. As a kid, because Sam and I did the Junior Nationals was in Tar Hollow. But actually, more, I've had a lot of wild encounters. One of my favorites actually is back there, way down the road where we used to walk, where we used to take night walks. There was up on the hill there, across from the high school. I once was just kind of exploring up there in the woods, and I saw I heard a sound like nearby, and I kind of turned real fast, like, what is that? And I couldn't see anything for a second, and then my eyes adjusted, and I realized that there was a deer standing 8 feet away from me, from here to the door. I mean, you can't see that, but Josh can. From here to the door, I was like, oh crap! It was a doe, and she was just kind of looking at me like, what the heck are you doing here? And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna just kind of back up, or I'm just gonna leave the area, and then, I mean, it shows great camouflage on the part of the deer, because my eyes adjusted, and there are 2 more deer literally right behind her, and one of them is a big racked buck.
That's scary.
And I was like, I'm just gonna back out of here. So I kind of
buck out of here.
I took a couple steps back, kind of turned sideways, and kind of stepped away, and then I stepped on a stick or something. And they're like, ah! They all ran really fast.
And you were like, ah!
And I was like, so.
Actually, I did. When I was going to college, our college was in the middle of a cornfield, or at least the hotel restaurant part that I worked at was in the middle of a cornfield. I went to culinary school to be a chef, and Hawking College's culinary department is right in the middle of a cornfield. There was one time in the parking lot, and the squirrel runs out, and it was myself, Cord Pickerel, and another guy, 3 big dudes. Who was it? Who left? Doesn't matter. I'm gonna sit here too long thinking about the other. There was three big dudes, and a squirrel runs out and runs circles around us. 3 big dudes, and we were all like, ah! And we ran inside and embarrassed ourselves. But it was terrifying. I legitimately thought that squirrel might try and eat my face or something.
It's a close relative to the rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
It's funny you mentioned the night walks. We did see a baby deer on one of our walks. It was by itself. We thought it was by itself, but then as we approached said baby deer,
to make sure it was okay,
to make sure it was
laying
okay,
down on the side of the road, but looking at us.
We realized there were other deer, and they were just kind of watching us. We did the stupidest thing possible. We took selfies with it.
And then we kept hearing sounds, and we were like, "Oh my god, the mom's gonna charge us!" So we kept
I almost did when I took it. Andrew and I were hiking once, and we saw a young buck. He didn't have a huge rack, but he had a rack coming in, a young buck, and
angsty buck.
He was angsty because he was and he was pawing the ground, making noise, grunting at us, and I was like, oh
crap!
I was like, let's just get low, and I was trying to keep an eye on him the whole time as we were trying to get out of his territory because he was clearly telling us he wanted to pick a fight, and that was kind of scary because there's not a lot you can do about charging buck.
Dodge it.
Do your best.
Full fight.
do your best to charge, to dodge it.
You just throw the other person at it.
Just charge back at it.
This is Sparta!
Only if you're an Australian can you get away with that.
Yeah.
You see that guy punch a kangaroo in the face? That video?
Yeah. Did you see the thing where there's another kangaroo that was punched that kangaroo, and there's another video that came a week later. I don't know if it's the same guy, but somebody where a kangaroo was walking through his door. It was one of the really muscular kangaroos was up against a glass window in his house and was looking into the house. And somebody was like, "Oh my God, he came back! His ripped cousin came back for more or something." I was like, "Holy crap!" Kangaroos first of all, kangaroos are incredibly dangerous. They've been listed as some of the most dangerous animals in that area just because they're super powerful and they are willing to pick a fight for no reason sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes,
So what other animal encounters have you had?
One that comes straight to mind happened at Tar Hollow, and I was asleep. I didn't actually encounter this. It was when we were younger and we were camping. We had the old Apache camp. Well, when we always have Apache campers, but the hard-sided one. They had a what do you call that? Bobcat.
Yeah.
Screeched in the night. And then,
Yeah,
oh my
really.
god! Like, everybody woke up and I slept right through it.
Yeah.
But then they heard like an owl sound as an owl flew away. They said most likely what happened is the bobcat was nearby and an owl spooked it. And because you could hear the owl flying, they said they heard the bobcat, and then they heard an owl like really panicky, hoo, 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 as he flew away really fast. And they said either the owl spooked it and then it went back, or that it just spooked the owl.
Bobcats are super cool, but they're kind of unimpressive when you see them at the zoo. You're like the noise they make, and
Yeah.
Can't even describe the noise they make. It's really just terrifying. But then you see them at the zoo, and like slightly bigger than a house cat.
They're like,
Like, oh yeah, that's
like, I think I have when I went to the zoo last year and I took some pictures, I got a picture of the bobcat, and it was an awful picture because he was like way back in his cage, and they try to make the cage look cute, the enclosure.
well, they
like,
try to
cute.
give them a habitat. You know,
Well,
it's
no,
not just
they,
like
they try to make it cute. They had like a little like carriage, like a little like wooden cart carriage thing in there that made it look like. I mean, I would take baby photos in there or something like that.
Right.
You know, like put a baby in a little cart with the greenery around and all that. So I got a picture. It's just his little cute head peeking up over it, and I'm just like, how does that thing look like it's gonna? I'm not scared of this thing. Like he looks like I should go up and pet him and call him like
Bobby, hey Bobby.
so.
But they are cool though. I mean, they are cool looking.
They're really pretty. Something else, I used to hold a lot of snakes and stuff like that when we were again camping in Tar Hollow. But one time I ran into a black racer, which is a very 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 fast black snake. And black racer is the name, but I'd heard that they were fast, but holy crap! I saw him. I thought it was a black rat snake, so I kind of approached, and as I was approaching, it went boom. It was like gone. I was like, where you is?
Where'd you go?
Well, it was kind of like, it was down in like a creek bed, and there was like a tree. There's like a tree that comes off the side, and there was the roots.
What are you doing back? I'm wondering at myself. I've been listening to it and trying to ignore it, but
I'll call you back. But there was like roots that hang over into the creek bed, and he was kind of on that edge of the creek bed, and he went boom, and he was gone into the roots. We couldn't even find him, see him, or anything.
I worked at this restaurant for like 2 weeks, where
I'm sorry.
they had really. I did only work there 2 weeks because they weren't a very good. They weren't a very good restaurant. It was a mess. The whole operation was a mess, and they weren't very good at cleaning. And so I got in there. I was like, "You guys gotta get this. You gotta get this shit cleaned up. You have to get this place cleaned up." Mm-hmm. I pulled up this oven, and I found a dehydrated frog, a mummified frog.
Oh my god!
It had died underneath the stove, and because of the heat from the stove, it had just like dried it, so it was mummified. It was like a dry heat. And so
make them eat the frog legs.
It's just a mummified frog. I actually kept it for a while because it was like literally mummified.
Cool. You're like, shit, I got a mummified frog.
I got a mummified
what do you do with a mummified frog?
Well, that was why I got rid of it. And she was like, "What do you do?" I was like,
What do you
I had
do?
grand schemes with it. I was like,
The original question is, what do you do with a mummified frog? So you take it home, and the ending question is, what do you do with a mummified frog?
Well, I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be great for future pranks. This is gonna be great for." I had all kinds of plans, but I was like, this is weird. I had a friend I worked with years ago. He had a fish that died, and he was like, he's like, I think his sister didn't want to flush it down the toilet, and so he was like, we put it in a Ben & Jerry's ice cream container and froze it. It was in the freezer. He's like, it's still there. He's like, it died like 6 years ago. There's dead fish in his freezer.
That's awful. That is so awful. That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Wow. Okay. That's something special right there.
Something special.
Oh gosh. Let's see. I think the one time I might have mentioned this on the show. I think we did actually talk about birds last time we had the show. Like when it was this is podcast. We were actually sitting on the porch, doing that episode. But I think I did tell a story about watching a Cooper's hawk fly into a flock of birds over by our house, over by Mom's house. I watched. We have a Cooper's hawk that lives over there. We've seen it a couple times, but there was this good-sized flock of birds that was kind of doing this thing where they kind of fly around in like a big chunk, and they just kind of, because this Cooper's hawk was flying around them, and I watched him. He went up high, and he went, boom, flew right down into them so freaking fast. And it was cool watching them. They were kind of in a blob, and then they like donutted out, like into a torus shape, like a donut shape. And then they went whoop after he flew through. I don't know if he got one or not. I did see him later that day on the ground with something in his hand, in his talons. So I didn't know if that was one of those birds, if that was a rabbit or something. We have a lot of rabbits around here. That was super cool though.
I had a red-tailed hawk dive bomb near me while I was mowing. One of my very, very first jobs as a kid. I worked on a horse farm. I just like mowed their lawn and like.
Oh, I remember that.
I just did like some yard work. And I was weed eating, and
he's literally eating weeds.
Yeah, I was eating the weeds, and this red-tailed hawk flew down right near me and dive bombed, snatched me off the ground, took off again. It was just really cool to see.
Just one time.
Speaking of birds, last Friday, we were finishing up our editing for the day, and you went downstairs.
Oh yeah, you told me about this.
You went downstairs, and you came back up, and I was like, holy crap, in the like 45 seconds you were gone. I was sitting there, I was finishing up the editing, I was cutting stuff, and I hear what sounds like somebody just took a big stone and just chucked it at your window. And it scared the hell out of me, because where his computer sits, where the editing computer sits, is right next to the window. We're butted right up to the window. Especially if you saw last week's
live stream.
You can see the light. You can see just all of those like.
Yeah, I just kind of like sitting like this so that the light wouldn't be like making my face glow like I got or something.
Next week's live stream, promise.
We will hang something up.
We'll hang something up. It won't be so awkward. But anyway, we're typing. I'm typing, or I'm not typing. I'm
editing,
and I hear something. I hear this big stone. I turn just in time to see Pileated woodpecker, red-headed woodpecker, flying away from the window, diving away from the window. And so he like comes up the stairs and I'm like, dude, literally, like just now, a woodpecker tried to get in. I was like, I'm glad he didn't, because otherwise I would have been stuck in here alone with a woodpecker. And then we started joking about
we were dying for like half an hour joking about stories about a woodpecker. Like, cause I have a bunch of guitars in there made of wood, and then I have one of the guitars is actually two of them are friends of mine guitars that are in there, but one of them actually looks like one of them is black, but one of them actually is a natural wood finish.
Right.
I was like, imagine that woodpecker landing on there, and start pecking into the wood. And I had to tell my friend later, like, yeah, my window's broken, and there's a hole in your guitar. And let me tell you the story about how a woodpecker broke into the room and then pecked a hole in your guitar. It's like, so you mean the woodpecker? You mean that you broke the window with the guitar?
Like, no, a woodpecker.
No, a woodpecker. Like, it's such an unbelievable story, unless you have video footage or a carcass of a woodpecker
where you killed it. But I did get his body.
Well,
guys,
you can keep it with your guitar.
I think we are about out of time.
We are about out of time. So, until next time.
Oh, guys, wait. Comment below. What are your wild animal encounters? If you encountered something crazy, actually, here in Ohio, we have pretty tame wildlife. We don't have like a lot of poisonous animals.
We have 3 poisonous snakes.
We don't have like crocodiles and alligators. We don't have like. We have snapping turtles. That's pretty terrifying.
You got these,
we don't have like
you got these animals.
Oh yeah, we don't have we don't have like massively dangerous animals in the area, so our animals are pretty tame. So guys,
The most massively dangerous animals here are people.
what are some of your animal encounters? What have you seen? What have you encountered?
Have you ever wrestled with a bear?
You know, do you like detective stories? Do you like spies? Who's your favorite? Comment all that below. And hey, we're always looking for subjects for future some things. Something we were talking about at the beginning of this episode. Like we're always like trying to generate new ideas. So guys, this is a show where we talk about whatever we want, whenever we want, but we want to talk about the things you want. So guys, comment below. What ideas do you have for future shows that you want to see? And with that,
until next time, I'm Eli.
I'm Joshua, and this is Something.
We hope you liked today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment because we enjoy chatting with you.
Also, check us out on Instagram and Facebook at This Is Something. All the links are below. Thanks, and have a beautiful day.